Okay, so chances are you've used a dating app at some point, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on behind the scenes, behind all that swiping? In this explainer, we're going to go way beyond just bad dates. We're digging deep into the actual business model of these apps. And we're going to explore a pretty wild idea. What if they were built to actually work for us?
You know that feeling you're swiping and nothing? You start to wonder, is this whole thing kind of rigged? Well, if you've ever felt that way, I'm here to tell you you're not going crazy. That frustration, it's not just in your head. It's a very real, shared experience, and there's a specific reason for it.
And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. I mean, get this. According to the Federal Trade Commission, people lost a staggering $1.14 billion to romance scams. That's not just a few people having bad luck. That's a direct result of platforms that are just failing to protect the very people they're supposed to serve. But honestly, the financial scams, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The whole online dating world is kind of a mess right now. We're talking widespread harassment, constant ghosting, and just total user burnout. You're swimming in a sea of fake profiles, bots, and catfishers. It's turned into a full-blown arms race of deception. So you gotta ask, why is it so broken? Well, here's the real kicker. It's because these problems, they aren't bugs, they're features. They are the direct intentional result of a business model that makes your frustration profitable. At the very core of all this is a concept called surveillance capitalism. It sounds kind of academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple and, honestly, a little creepy. It means that these platforms aren't really in the business of connecting people. They're in the business of turning you into the product. Your hopes, your desires, your behaviors. It's all just data to be packaged up and sold. And this right here is the fundamental conflict of interest. Look, their stated goal, what they tell you they do, is to find you a connection. But their actual goal, the one that makes the money, it's to keep you on the app for as long as possible, swiping, clicking, and sharing more data. Think about it. Your success, finding someone amazing and deleting the app, is literally bad for their business. How crazy is that? So here's how that data pipeline really works. Step 1. You swipe, you share, you answer questions. You're giving them personal data with every single tap. Step 2. Their algorithms get to work, analyzing everything to build this super detailed profile of you. And step 3. That profile, which is basically a snapshot of your intimacy and your desires, gets sold. And that really just says it all, doesn't it? In this model, you have zero ownership. None. Every message you send, every connection you make, every piece of your digital identity on that app, well, it's an asset that belongs to the company, not to you. They own it, they control it, and yeah, they profit from it. Now, I know this might sound like some kind of dystopian theory, but it's not. This is the documented reality of how these things work. So let's shift gears and look at the hard evidence, because it's pretty undeniable. And the evidence, it's just damning. I mean, regulators all over the world have caught these major platforms red-handed. In 2020, Norway slammed Grindr with a huge fine for illegally sharing super sensitive user data. Then in 2022, Ireland opened up investigations into Tinder and its parent company. This isn't just a few oopsies, it's a clear, consistent pattern of putting profits way ahead of user privacy. And let's be crystal clear about what kind of data we're talking about here. This isn't just, your favorite color. The Norwegian Consumer Council's report was explicit. They found apps are selling precise location data and sexual preferences. I mean, it's the most personal information you can imagine, and it was being sold off to advertisers without anyone giving any real consent. Okay, so the current system is clearly broken. What's the alternative? We can't just put a Band-Aid on this. We need to tear it all down and rebuild it from scratch, starting with a totally new way of thinking. The biggest, most fundamental change is this shift in ownership from what we call Web 2 to Web 3. Just think of Web 2 as the internet you use now, where huge companies like Meta and Google own the platforms and all your data. The emerging Web 3 model flips that script entirely. The power shifts back to you. You own your data. You control it. It's a simple idea, but it's absolutely revolutionary. So this new model is built on 3 really important principles. First, true ownership. Your data is basically locked in a digital vault and only you have the key. Simple as that. Second is explicit consent. Nothing happens with your data unless you give direct approval. No more of this hiding stuff in a 50-page terms of service nobody reads. And third, verifiable transparency. You can actually see and track where your information goes, which forces the platform to be accountable. At the end of the day, the goal here is to create a space where we can actually connect with each other without being exploited. A place where you can be your authentic self without worrying that your vulnerability is being packaged and sold to the highest bidder. Now, a huge part of building this trust is just knowing that the person you're talking to is, well, a real person. And I know what you might be thinking. Ugh, verification sounds like a hassle. But here's the thing. It's actually something users are actively asking for. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The data is super clear on this. A big Pew Research study found that a massive 41% of online daters are open to or even want things like video verification. People are so tired of the fakes and the bots, they want tools that create a genuinely safer space. And that big myth that verification is this long, painful, complicated process, yeah, it's just not true. A report from Tinder's own pilot program back in 2022 found that the whole thing takes less than a minute. 1 minute. And get this, there's a direct benefit for you. It's not just about safety. Data from Bumble shows that verified profiles get 20 to 30% more matches. So verification isn't a barrier. It's a huge benefit. It signals that you're real and trustworthy, and people are obviously drawn to that.
So what would a really strong system look like? Well, imagine a single, super secure step, like using a passport to confirm you are who you say you are. Then some smart AI tech confirms you're a real human in just a few seconds. This one simple step could pretty much wipe out bots and scammers overnight, making that little verification badge a real symbol of trust for the whole community.
So ultimately, it really just boils down to a choice for all of us. We can keep using platforms where we are the product, where our data is just inventory on a shelf. Or we can decide to support a new direction, a movement that actually puts user safety, ownership, and just basic humanity first. So, I'll just leave you with this question. What kind of digital world do we want to build for something as important, as human, as connection? Are you ready to date on an app that's actually truly on your side?